And that shit ain't never come bite for real. Damn. Ain't no second chances. You can't come back in. You can't come back in. We ain't cool, we can't be friends. Ain't no reminiscing.
Why do I always be the bigger person? I just want someone to show me that I'm truly worth it. Got a lot of things that always go unnoticed. I'm too busy being judged from people who ain't really worth it. Yeah, I get played, I'm so hurt. Cause I wanna know the truth. Are we really a thing? Is it really me and you? Why did I trust people that told me THD? The problem is you. Never thought that I'd be sitting with the shawty trying to talk a lot and get on.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Ikon. And once again, we here on 95 South TV. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity, because without him, there'll be no us. You know what I'm saying? Next, I need to introduce my right-hand man, your baby mama favorite host, Barry White Jr. voice himself, Jacob the Great. What's going on, brother?
Oh man, glad to be in the land of the living. Another day to get it right.
Okay. So go ahead and introduce this brother so we can get this doggone interview cracking.
Man, listen, this is a space tonight, man, where really men gonna have intellectual conversations. And I've interviewed this brother before on the chatterbox, and it's just a space where we can really dive into relationships and behavioral, education when it comes to how kids behave, how adults behave, and why the world doesn't really understand the minds of people because they never tap into the minds of people. So none other than the coach himself, Coach Randy Howell Jr. Welcome, brother.
Man, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the conversation, fellas. Looking forward to it. It's a pleasure to meet you, Ikon E.
Hey, you too, brother.
King, it's always good to talk to you, sir.
So,
man.
Yes. So let's go and jump into it. So before we get started on this space, who is Randy Howell?
I'm sorry, you broke up on me, King. What you say, brother?
I said, before we get started, with the conversation, who is Randy Howell Jr.?
Man, I'm the Truth Concierge. Look, I live in a space where understanding that life, you can't live life until you find your truth. You got to find your truth. We are in a place now where we've been performing, but you don't know you've been performing. You've been placed in a position that is told to be success, but not many of us have ever just taken that glance in the mirror and asked, is this where I was placed, or is this where I want to be? And so who Randy G is a person that just tries to help people open their eyes to look at the mirror from your perspective. They say we only get one life to live. Have you ever asked yourself if you living a life for yourself, or are you living the life that someone gave you? See, I want to live the life that I choose. I want to live the life that God put before me. Now, I'm not saying that the things that are put in front of us aren't needed, but I am saying that every person needs to take the time to ask themselves, is this mine, or is this something that someone has given me?
Okay, I can dig it. So we're gonna get into this, relationship space, whether it be a relationship with your significant other, whether it be a relationship with your family or your church community, or would just be a relationship when you networking and gaining resources to help you thrive into the space that you want to be in. So, what is your take on relationships, and why do you stand on what you stand on?
Well, just from personal experience, been married. I'll be married 25 years in June. And the one thing that I realized over these 25 years is that we can allow ego and pride to play a big part in our day to day. And that has a big roadblock as it comes to partnerships. We are told that we're supposed to be equally yoked, but then we walk down the road and we're not equally yoked. And then we wonder why we have all these problems. I'm a big person on communication, open communication. I know for personally, I was going down that road where I was allowed ego to lead me. And I was wanting to be the man, and bring home the prize. And I would bring home the prize, but I wasn't receiving the reaction that I expected. And by asking my partner, what's going on? Why aren't you excited? Well, you bringing home the prize, and that's great. For us to be partners, what did my role play in? We're given this. You got to be the guy. You got to be the one. You got to be the breadwinner. You do. I agree with that to a certain degree, but you don't get a partner to leave them on the back burner, because two heads will always be better than one. Always. When you're traveling down the road, you're focused on one thing, because you're thinking about things that the passenger's not thinking about. You're thinking about you have a whole different perspective of the trip. That passenger could be the one that could actually save you from something detrimental, but you got to be willing to understand that they do have a different perspective and they are seated a different way for you. That's just like with a relationship. You have your perspective, they have their perspective. Bring their perspectives together. Let's see what we can come up with, because it actually might turn out to be a lot better than it would have been if it was just left on you.
So that's interesting you say that. And I do agree. But the sacred, the vulnerability space of a man wants to be in that vulnerable space with his mate, but she does not allow him to do that. How is that overcame by the male? And do women nowadays really sit down to really I am vulnerable? This can be his sacred space. And as I want him to listen to me, can I just take some listen to him and put myself in his shoes and see why he reacts or thinks, or what can I do to make it better for him so we can get through this thing together as a whole?
So you said so I'm just trying to catch the question. You said that you're looking at a woman not allowing a man to be in his vulnerable space.
Yes. Why do men think they can't be in their vulnerable space?
Well,
Being at
personally, I
home
don't even think it has
and
anything to do with
and
the woman. I actually believe that that's something that's actually embedded in us from the beginning. I mean, I don't know how many guys were taught to be vulnerable. We weren't taught to be vulnerable. We were taught to be tough. I know I was taught to be tough. I was taught to wipe it off.
Right.
I remember crying
Right.
till I became a married man, because I didn't see a man crying in front of me. We're not given the grace to be able to be vulnerable at a very early age. The only time I cried when I was growing up, when I was being disciplined. That's not teaching me how to be vulnerable. We already walking. A lot of us are walking into the relationships without the know-how. We don't have the know-how. We don't have that vulnerability built in us, because we've already built up this wall where we have to be tough. But a man has to be willing to understand that it's okay. We gotta be willing to understand that it's okay, because I'm gonna tell you, find that vulnerable side, you're gonna get a lot more out of that woman. A lot more out of her, because it's gonna allow her to open up more. But the vulnerability does come by breaking down the wall of ego and pride.
Okay. So we did have a comment to come across the screen from via YouTube, and the young lady says, um, most men are not allowed to be vulnerable in their household. And so why do you think that is?
Again, it goes back to the fact of not being taught. With not being taught, I didn't really learn what vulnerability looked like until I was blessed with daughters. And then I started asking myself, what would I expect from a man that they choose? And I would expect a man with compassion and understanding and vulnerability. These are, through my daughters, is how I started to learn. Now, like I said, I've been married close to 25 years. Now, I thought I was being that guy at first. But once I started to realize, as it became a father, I realized that I was still behind the bar. So it's going to take the man to want it. It's not just going to happen. It's not just going to happen. You have to want it. You have to want it, and you have to be willing to allow yourself to take that step towards vulnerability.
All right, my man. I turn over to you, brother.
Okay, so I want y'all to roll with me on this one for a second. Men, boy, think about this. When you like in elementary and middle school, when you like a girl, what do you do to her? You're aggressive with her. You hitting on her, not like hitting like no Ike and Tina,
I'm
but
with you. I understand.
the playful tapping and hitting and pushing her down and talking junk to her. And then what she do? She kikiing and she doing all that. And boy, you better stop and this, that, and the third. So, and when you little, when you a child, you already getting those kind of like tendencies of being aggressive or being whatever. And then by the time you get to high school, what do girls mainly like? They like the athletes, they like the bad boys. And the athletes and the bad boys both have what? Aggressive natures. So by the time you get older and you do get in a relationship where you get married and all that kind of stuff, a woman don't want no man that shows weakness, that shows any kind of weakness, because then if he shows weakness, then at the end of the day, she looks at him as soft and can't be able to be the head of his household. So that's kind of how I look at it. How do you look at it?
Well, let me ask you a question. So the way I take it is, you saw as athletes and bad boys aggression. I see personality.
Okay.
I see personality. Maybe they're going after the guy with personality because I was an athlete and I definitely wasn't aggressive, but I had a high level of personality. And that's what, and even today, it's my personality that's more attractive than my aggression. It's the likability of who I am. So I mean, you can look at it from twofold, and I do see your perspective. I do see your perspective, but there are so many ways.
Well, let me correct that a little bit. Let me clean that up a little bit. When I say aggressive, I mean aggressive as, like you said, personality, confidence to a certain degree. So when an athlete or that bad boy or whatever, or that cool kid, when he goes after that girl, he goes after with a certain level of, you could say, confidence, and it's a certain level of aggressiveness there. May not aggressive like necessarily in a negative way, but aggressive of saying, "Oh, I want you. You're gonna be my girl," type of thing. And that girl,
that's pure confidence. Pure confidence.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
No, I agree with you on that. But after that, then what? After that, then what? Because how long does that really last before you have to put in some other components in order for it to last? That's the thing. That's the thing that you have to look at. You can have the confidence to get her, and you can be very strong and dogmatic in it, but you can be debonair and charismatic and do it. Okay, you got her. But is that enough to keep her?
Yeah. Well, it just depends on the female, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the female, but it also depends on the character of the man. And I would say it depends more on the character of the man than it does on the type of female, because the difference between a man and a woman, and in no disrespect, I think people will understand what I'm saying. The woman will always be the prey, the man will always be the hunter. And what do I mean? That means that the woman that you have is always being seeked. So what are you going to do to make sure she's not looking?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I put it to you like this. I feel like I mean I agree with you on that part. I think where we at now in our generation is that women are put in position where they have to wear the pants too often, and when a man comes in and tries to lead, it's kind of hard for her to relinquish.
So
You know what I
I'm
mean?
glad you said that. I got a question for you, brother.
Hmm.
What does wearing the pants too often look like to you?
Well, so I'm in your position. I'm in your position, brother. I've been with my wife for 26 years,
I love it.
and
I
so
love it.
she allows me, or she almost expects me to always lead. So
Hmm.
even when the decisions get made, she may be thinking one way, but at the end of the day, it's almost like I want you to make the final decision, and I
Hmm.
want you to take the lead on making the call or reaching out to whoever needs to be, whatever decision needs to be made. I need you to be the one to show the initiative, unless I say, well, in this situation, if I'm caught up busy doing something else, I go ahead and make the call, and you got my full blessing to go ahead and move forward whatever decision we making in a certain
Yes.
situation. So
But say, and I know I ain't interviewed, but I do got a question for you because I love what you're talking about. But just for clarity for the men out here, but you're not making those decisions without discussing it with her. Now,
no,
granted, you are
no.
making the final decision, but
Hmm.
this final decision is coming from dialogue between you two. And I know I don't have to ask you, I know, because for you to be in it this long, you ain't just been walking like that.
Oh no, no,
No.
no, no.
Yeah.
First of all,
And you know,
first of
and I'm
all,
just giving, and I'm just
it
giving,
ain't always been like that either, brother.
and I'm giving,
I was that brother who would do stuff and like I'm the man. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna do what I gotta do. I've been in. I've that was I
yeah.
was that brother. You know what
And
I'm
I'm gonna
saying?
tell you, that was one of my worst positions. That was one of my
Hmm.
worst positions when I was trying to be that guy. Uh,
Hmm.
it actually became easier with the discussions.
Yeah.
It actually became easier, because I'm gonna tell you, I'm married to an alpha, bro. And when I say alpha, she don't need me. She never has me. She didn't need me from the day I met her. So I had to work differently to be within her space. It's amazing when you can look across to a person and know that they don't need what you have. And
Hmm.
you have to ask yourself, how am I going to shift? How am I going to adjust? How am I going to be a different person in order for this to work? Now
Hmm.
one thing about having an alpha female and then you have this male thing, that's an appetite for destruction.
Hmm.
That's an appetite for destruction. And now, granted, now she is that alpha, but I'm like you, bro. We have those discussions. But I'm gonna tell you what a real leader does, a real boss does, a real man does. Sometimes it's okay not to have to make the decision.
Hmm.
Because guess what you just did? You made the decision.
Hmm.
And I believe that I know, and it's funny, we don't look at it that way because we always know that we had to make the final, but sometimes the final is not having to be the final.
Well, okay. I
Personally
give you an
said.
example. I give you an example. So we was living in Atlanta, and I take that. Let me go back a little bit, real quick. So I was in the military. I worked for. I did the military, and I did work for Golden Crowd as a manager. Both times I had to leave off, go training. Both times it was those things of she following me on my journey or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward years later, we in Atlanta. She wants to go back home to be around her family, and I followed her in this journey
I
because I
love
said,
it.
okay, it was times that you followed me, and I'm on the road all the time working. So I'm like, I'd rather you be happy in your
Yes.
environment at home because I'm gone all the time anyway. So
Yes.
at the end of the day, I need to come home to peace. You know
There
what I
you
mean?
go. There you
I
go.
heard a comedian say one time, men desire peace, women desire happiness. You know what I'm saying?
Hey. Hey, I guess it's depending on how you're looking at the picture, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, but I like that. It's a lot of men that aren't like that. Now, I'm a lot like you when it comes to that. Uh, Sometimes the happiest place for me is when she is in her happiest place.
Hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um, you know, sometimes even when you have something in front of you that may be the perfect scenario, it might not be the perfect situation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I feel like when we make decisions like that, like when you made that decision, you understood that you wanted the perfect situation, and the perfect situation will create the best scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But how long are you playing in the world, and how long are you next to your spouse? Nobody
Hold on,
looks at it.
say that
I said,
again
how
now.
long are you playing with the world versus when you're with your spouse? You with your spouse a lot more than you playing with the world.
Got you.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for you to make a decision for the greater good of you all's totality, now that's what a king does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what a king does. And that has no ego involved in it. That has only compassion and vulnerability.
Oh yeah. You definitely have that. To be together this long, you can't have no ego. The one thing I tell people, I say to be together, when people ask me all the time, because me and you are an anomaly. Me and you are unicorns in this
Yes,
world.
sir.
You know what I'm saying?
Right now, in today's time,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
in today's time. You know what I'm saying? You know, so when people ask me advice, I say you got to have three things. You got to have God, you have to have compromise, and you have to have communication.
There you go.
That's the three.
You hit the nail on the head, brother. And if anybody doesn't have that in their repertoire, they're losing. And I'm not talking about just regular communication. I'm talking about that unadulterated, open communication. That communication without fear. You know, that communication, you know, even that conversation when you're saying this conversation might be my last conversation type of conversation.
Yeah.
You have to have it. And I'm going to tell you, it took me a long time, bro, to have those conversations. I remember it was 2019. And when I had and the thing about this, it's 2026. I'm still growing.
Yeah, definitely.
But in 2019, it was my first time being vulnerable enough to be openly honest with all the fear in the world, because I'm gonna tell you, mine is my best friend, man. I'm like when I say my best friend, I don't say that facetiously, like literally she's my best friend. Like if I showed you my call log, you might see some 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hour phone calls like we used to do back in the day in the 90s. You know what I'm saying? In the early 80s.
Because you know what, people, Jacob, you have to jump in a minute, because me and his brother gonna get to talking. You gonna kill us out, but I know what you mean, because this is what I tell people. If when you go through something good, bad, or indifferent during your day, the first person you should be wanting to call is that significant other.
You better talk about it.
You know what I'm saying? Before you call and talk to anybody else. If that ain't the person that you want to be able to relay that information to, or vent with, or whoever, then and vice versa. If they don't want to be calling you and say, man, I need to, you know, like when she going through something, it'd be like, yeah, I just need to vent for 2.5 seconds or something.
There you
and
go.
I'm like, all right, go ahead. You know what I mean?
Sir.
So so if it ain't that, then your relationship it's a gap somewhere, something missing.
You need to do some reevaluating. Time for some reevaluating at that point. You know, you gonna tell you, being an athlete and all that stuff, things came easy. Just to keep it clean. She was the first one that didn't allow it to be easy. She made me fall for her first. Inside. That right there is better than anything else, because when you are better with, literally, you know, people say, oh, I'm better with my spouse and I'm better without her. Bro, I'm gonna tell you something. When I was in corporate America 22 years ago, tumultuous, bro. When I walked away in 2004, heaven began showing up on earth for me. You know, people don't look at how precious the gift God gives you is. You know, I get asked the questions of, man, you don't got your guys' night out, and you don't do this and you don't do that, and man, you always want to be up under that woman and this, that, and third. Why did I marry her? To want to be away from her. I don't understand that part, you know. But see, the thing they forget about is, now when you were dating, this was an everyday thing. You wanted to be with that person all the time. You wanted to do this. And But as soon as you say, I do, I need a break. What changed? What changed? It's supposed to get stronger. It's not supposed to diminish. So now that's when the self-evaluation has to come into play. And you have to ask yourself, did I do this for me? Or did I do this because that's the picture that was painted for me? That's where the truth comes into play. I want you to look at the picture from that perspective.
Yeah, yeah. Jacob, you got something to talk about? We're gonna keep going.
Yeah, I do. I do, man. So
jump in here,
I commend you, brothers. Yeah, I commend you, brothers. Y'all been married 25, 26 years, but in the space that I am, I'm not a married man, and let's piggyback what you go back to, Ikon, what you said, man. How women, have to be so tough. They've been single mothers for 20, 25 years, and when I'm in that space and I've tried to get them to let their guard down, they have that veil up, that brick wall up. It's almost like, busting open a cinder block with your bare hands. You know what I mean? Which is almost deeper than trying to arithmetic or trying to get a T-bone steak out of bear's mouth. And for the brothers in my space, it can be difficult, it can be frustrating, and it just seems like a lot of masculinity is coming off when we want that femininity to come off. You know what I mean? The femininity to come off. And so, what would you say, Coach Randy, about that type of space for a male?
The thing we have to realize is, first of all, without being male or female, we're human. We're people with responsibilities. And just as a man has responsibilities to be strong and handle business, so does a woman. That a woman shouldn't walk around vulnerable all the time and weak and not being able to. She has to. But just as a woman can have a masculine side, a man can have a soft side. And I'm going to tell you something. If a man is willing to stop fighting the masculine and be debonair and smooth with the masculine, you're going to get what you're supposed to get. But, you can't mix oil and vinegar don't mix. It's going to always have a gap in between. What can you do to break the wall down? You don't break the wall down. You don't go in with C4 if you don't want people to realize what's going on. You got to find the weak points and you start there, and the wall will begin to crumble without anybody even knowing that it's happening. Then you're going to create your entrance point. Nobody knows that you've even infiltrated the situation. And once you infiltrate the situation, you are now in control. Do you want to be in control, or do you just want to blow the whole thing up? See, I like being in control. So I'm going to take my time and I'm going to be very diligent and pay attention. You got to understand that this woman may be broken from a man that was too aggressive and put her in a negative situation. So you're not only fighting her masculinity, you're also fighting a bad situation that has left that bad taste in their mouth. You got to be that piece of savory to change the palate. And once you change the palate, you got to be consistent with how you fix the plate.
And this what I would say to piggyback off of what you said to kind of answer what Jacob was asking you, and I want to say this. You have to learn, this is where the communication comes in.
There you
Because
go.
now you got to listen to what the woman needs,
There
and you got to fill those gaps. Because you could say all day long, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. But you coming in a situation where she's been holding it down for how many years, whatever, trying to raise these kids, and you coming in as trying to talk that talk, and she like, well, I've been doing this by myself. Where you been? So now you got to fill in those gaps. Whether it's okay, well, you know what, I'm gonna come by and pick up your son today and take him to shoot some hoops and talk with him a little bit. or I'm a, or you go out for a little while. We gonna watch some movies, or I'm gonna go take him to the
Mm-hmm.
mall, or if you can't make it to his games today, I'll make sure
Mm-hmm.
I'm there to
Mm-hmm.
show up to his games, or take whatever it is. You know what I mean? The case may be. So you gotta show them what it
Mm.
is, and that you're there for them. Not talk that
There you
game,
go.
because they don't care about none of that. They want you to show.
And you know, Icon, just to run off of that, the thing about it is they're not going to tell you. This is
Mm-mm.
from observation. This is from you got to have a thing inside that you have to find the things that are missing. This is what's going to make her go, If
Mm-hmm.
she's telling you, she don't need you because she's already doing it. The
Mm-hmm.
things that you just displayed to me, brother, are things of observation. Hmm. I see her. She getting up at 4:30. His game at 5. She 25 minutes away. She barely getting him there on time. But I'm sitting at the crib. You know what, baby? I got you. You get there 5:15 or whatever. I already got bro at the game. He already there. I got it there at 4:40.
Mm-hmm.
Small things go a long way.
Mm-hmm. Bringing groceries by. She and
Bro,
I
you better
working
talk
all
about
day.
it. Huh?
You done bought a bucket of KFC chicken and some biscuits by something. You know what I mean? Anything, or you done came by and cooked for the kids or something. Bought some
The
pizza
little
by
bitty
something.
things make a big difference. And Jacob, just for from a married man to a brother that I know is waiting on God to give him what he's supposed to have. Don't pay so much attention to the tough side. Pay attention to the why behind it, brother. Pay attention to the why behind it. Then you're gonna start seeing how you can fit into the picture. But if you're paying so much attention to something that she has to do, you're never going to find how you can make it better. You got to pay attention to the why behind it and then start figuring out how you can make that a little bit more comforting for her. And I'm telling you, if you start doing that, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to be like, man, I thought she ain't never want no man. This, that, and third to being, man, God, thank you for giving me my blessing.
I can dig it. And so the reason why I propose that question because I've been to a lot of these conversations. I've been to a lot of these conversations on lives and stuff like that. I've been on, conference calls, with brothers that I know and stuff like that. And so
Mm-hmm.
these questions that a single brother asks who's kind of lived out there in the world, and now he at that moment where he's ready to settle down and find somebody to grow old with. And so these are the conversations that we have in a safe space for men, because it's not too many times that brothers can get together and have this really safe space where everybody get their chance to speak, and we really talk about something in that safe space that really men need to talk about. You know what I mean? And so
Yep.
from your perspective and from Icon perspective, y'all been married, ever since Johnny Baptist was passing Hezekiah the basketball. So so I just felt like that would be a good perspective to bring into this dialogue. So,
Yeah,
but
for
I
sure.
appreciate both. I appreciate both of y'all, brother. So now, this is a topic that me and I can talk about all the time, and I know you in this space. The behavioral science when it comes to the new generation,
Mm.
and I said to myself, is it is it is it that emotionally tough, or is it that mentally damaging for them? What almost every young person is blowing weed daily, and so my thing is, what are the signs that we have to pay to as adults, the older generation, when it comes to behavioral problems for the next generation, that we think are going to become the lawyers and doctors, because it's a lot of behavioral problems that people go through that never get addressed or never get noticed, or they never feel like they have no safe space to talk to anybody about that's older than them, cause cause they feel like they're gonna be judged all the time. So if
Yeah.
you can kind of chime in on that.
Well, first of all, the rule sets are different. The rules are different. The restrictions don't exist the way they existed when we were coming up. Uh, the parents are more behind the eight ball than they ever were behind the eight ball. The teachers are behind the eight ball. The authoritative figures are behind the eight ball because we're not given that space to even be able to. Then on top of that, we're already battling an alternate world that kids live in our face called social media. They have too much in front of them, countering your discipline, countering your advice, countering your way of living, your way of raising. You have to ask yourself, are you willing to turn up the gas on that side to counter what you is 24/7? 24/7 in their hands is a person or a thing or a situation influencing their next moment, not their next day, not their next year, their next moments. We have to be willing to fight that. We're not even fighting the behavioral issues. We're not fighting the bad decisions. We're fighting a situation that we have no control over. And on top of that, we're fighting the fact that the rules now have us boxed into a corner. I remember having the fear of my assistant principal because if I went to that office, all he said was, put your hands on the desk. And I was getting the wood. That don't happen no more, boss man. Put that wood on the kids you want to, you're going to be hearing the cling because it's now abuse. And that might be minor to many, but look how big it is to who we are as men now. People look at, I always talk about the 80s and the 90s. I say that was the best era. Granted, I grew up in it, but I also think about the idiosyncrasies that existed that don't exist now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't exist anymore. And those idiosyncrasies, when you knew that Miss Judy was going to get in your tail if she looked out that window and saw you doing something you didn't have no business. That don't happen no more, bro.
Nope.
The small things that have disappeared are the biggest things that have us in this tumultuous situation. So as adults, we have to ask ourselves, how much more are we willing to put in to counteract it?
And you know what's crazy
Right.
on
And,
that
and
part
then
is
and then okay,
I was gonna
I
say
come
real quick, Jake.
before you go.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say
Oh,
real quick.
but before you say that,
Go ahead.
my bad, bro. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say real quick. The thing about it is you can't really even slow it down, because what I mean by that is if you slow down your kids' progression, then when they go out to the world with their friends and all that at school, then now they're not even educated on how to move. Because if you try to slow it down too much, and it's like when they get out, then now they're curious about stuff they don't know about, and they learning from other people that's gonna really push them the wrong way. Instead of you
Yeah.
at home saying, you know what you're seeing with this and seeing this over here, I gotta teach you early what this means and what the consequences of it is. Because if I don't, when you go around these people that's doing what X, Y, and Z, and then you so curious, you just gonna go along with what they say versus what it is. You know what I'm
I
saying? But
agree.
go ahead, Jake.
So I had an conversation with a pastor, and he asked me something. He said, "Do parents know that the parents these kids are children, or are they letting social media raise children? I said,
You break it up a little bit.
discuss with. Okay, so let me repeat that. I'm with a pastor, and he said, "Do the parents know that they're the parents and the kids are the children, or are the parents letting the kids do what they want because they don't want the kids angry with them and allowing social media to raise the kids?"
You know, I'm gonna tell you, in Ikon, you kind of pressed on it. I tell someone asked me the other day, because I'm gonna let you know I homeschool my kids. And my kids have always been homeschooled, but my kids aren't like the atypical homeschool kids. You know how most homeschool kids, they seem like they're kind of 8 years behind the world.
Mm-hmm.
My kids aren't like that. But the way you have to adjust as an adult and as a parent. And we raised our kids on the understanding of situations, consequences, and values. That creates respect and understanding. In the world that we're in, you got to get past all the fluff, and you got to get to what will happen if. No kids are given what will happen if due to fear. But what are you afraid of? I'm afraid of losing my child. You're already losing them.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather lose your child and understand knowing that they're safe, or lose them and be in fear that they're always going to be in danger? Lose them knowing they're going to be safe, because they have an opportunity to bring them back to the fold. Because we all know that once you become older and you become wiser, you're going to reflect. And if you reflect on the situation where you go, you know what? How many times have you been in a situation where you get to the brink of making the wrong decision and you have an aha moment? Be the aha moment with your kids by implementing in the understanding of what consequences look like. Because I would rather be that than to be the not aha moment because I was afraid to hurt their feelings. Because
you know, a moment that I had with my son is when Trayvon Martin got killed.
Okay.
Because my son never dealt with racism directly, or seen police brutality in any form like that.
Okay.
And so I had to sit him down and get him to understand, because at that time he was in high school.
Okay.
So I like, son, if you ever with your friends riding around and they're gonna look at you as a young black boy that they don't know if you in the streets of the game. And my son, he was about as square as they come back then.
I got
you know what I'm saying? I said, but the police don't look at you like that. They look at you as another end.
Yep.
A lot of times. And I said, at the end of the day, I had to teach them the protocol when you get pulled over.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I tell parents, that's what I mean by you have to have these uncomfortable conversations with your kids early. When you see stuff when they see stuff on TV that happen to certain people and certain things happen, you can't say, well, let me turn it off and y'all go in the back and play. No, you gotta have that conversation.
Now. And have it now. And you became the aha moment. Because as soon as the lights came on, the first thing you thought about was Dad. What did Dad say? Dad told me to do this. No matter what people do in this car, Dad told me to do this. Dad told me to stay here. Now, if you hadn't given your son that moment, he may have been wanting to fit in at the moment and act up with the ones in the car and became the casualty, or listen to Dad and become the one that's set free. And that's reality. It's the worst association is guilty by. But if your story is consistent, you will get let go. How many times have you heard it where everybody went in, but the ones that didn't have nothing that they could write dirty on the letters about got let go? That comes from being raised the right way. The way Ikon
think about Central Park 5. Think about Central Park 5. The oldest guy in the group had nothing to do. He wasn't even though none of them had nothing to do with it. He was just there going to the police station with his friend for support. And
Yep.
he ended up getting the most time.
Most time, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't that crazy?
Yep.
Association, bro. Association.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I preach this more than anything. And I think, but it's so funny is that you bring this up, because the one thing about what I do, in the nucleus of it is understanding how important you are as an individual. We're born alone, we die alone.
Mm-hmm.
But in the midst of our journey, they tell us to compromise with everything around us. That compromise is what puts us in those types of situations. It's okay to know how important you are. It's okay to understand how important your decisions are. And it's important to understand that if you decide not to, and those around you don't agree with it, it's still okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what our kids are not being taught.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got, we are a lot, I remember being bullied in elementary school, but bullying now, it's so bad. We didn't have the casualties from bullying back in the day like we have now.
No.
We would be bullying, and then, bro, 3 days later, we out there shooting ball together.
Yep.
Bro, now bullying, you got an enemy for life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we
My
got to
friend,
understand the importance of ourselves for ourselves now.
Yeah. One of my best friends, that's how it started when we was kids. We started off in a bullying situation, and once I kind of stood up to him and said, nah, this ain't about to happen, we ended up being friends for life.
Look at that.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't happen no more, bro. Don't happen no more. Most of the time now it's ended up in a deadly situation, to be honest with you. And that's the sad part about it, because it's more important now to be viral than it is to be the virus. And if you're the virus makes change because it's something different. If you be something different, you might just make the change that could change things around you. But we want to be viral. We want to be a part of the trend. And the trend is deadly these days.
Well, listen, bro, I appreciate you coming on tonight. I wish we had more time, but this is what I do want to do if it's possible. And Jacob,
Yes, sir.
I need you to make this happen if possible. The brother we had on last night and this brother, I did this thing 2 years ago and I didn't do it last year, and I'm kicking myself. A couple years ago, I had what I call a Father's Day special. But what I did was the week of Father's Day, we got a few brothers on, and we just talked about whatever we wanted to talk about, vulnerabilities, relationships, whatever it was, everybody got things off their chest. Because I started a podcast years ago and I didn't continue it. It was called Men of Valor. And basically what it was a podcast where men could come on and basically talk about whatever we wanted to talk about. I don't know if y'all watched the show The Shy. If you ever watched the show The Shy, remember when they had the guys would have that group thing they did every week, and they would sit around and talk about whatever, and whatever they talked about didn't leave that room. You know what I'm saying? But, of course, this would leave the room because we're doing the podcast format. But at the end of the day, it's still the fact of men coming together and talking about whatever we talked about. And we had everybody from, pastors, deacons, to the street guys, to whatever that was on that was on that platform. And like I said, I should have kept it going, and I dropped the ball on it years ago and didn't keep it going like I should have. You know what I mean? Because everybody was kind of looking to me to keep it because of my idea, brainchild to do it. You know what I'm saying? But I would love to do something in the next, that would be next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
when
about
y'all
2
come
weeks
back.
now, about 3 weeks at the most. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we come back and figure out a day. It may not be the weekend because I know everybody gonna be with the wives and the kids trying to, even though we barely get celebrated during Father's Day weekend, but hopefully this year we all get celebrated.
Yes,
so we
sir.
can figure out a day to come together and just kind of talk.
All you gotta do is let me know. Let me know. And you let me know, I'm gonna make it happen because it's needed. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing about things that are needed, you have to find time for things that are needed, especially in today's time. So
Right.
all you gotta do is let me know, Ikon, King. All you gotta do is let me know, and I'm gonna find a way to make it happen.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yeah, because I appreciate you coming on, man. We could talk there 2-3 hours about all
You ain't
kind of stuff.
joking. I'm
You know what
telling
I
you.
mean?
It's good
Yeah.
conversation. And Ikon, I want to say congratulations on your 26, and I'm praying for another 26, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
Yes.
appreciate it. Same
Yes.
to you with that 25, because we know it ain't easy. You know what I'm saying? And every day ain't happy. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
tell, that's where that guy come in.
You
Because I
better
said
talk about it.
it be days where you look at that person and be like, you know what? Hey, especially like you said, when you're dealing with that alpha, them alpha.
Baby, but I'm gonna tell you something. I don't even look at the bad days. I look at the days that she wasn't there, man. Because I'm gonna tell you something. When it's your rib, it's your left hand, it's your right hand, it's your everything. Man, a bad day ain't nothing compared to not having what you're supposed to have with you when
Yeah.
God gave it to you. And
Mm-hmm.
God gave
That's
me
true.
mine. And when God gave me mine, I made a promise to find a way to keep it, and I ain't gonna never let it go.
I know that's right. I know that's
I
right. Well, we
love
gonna
it.
end
I
it on
love it.
that one.
There
We
you
gonna
go.
end it right there, bro.
I
You got
love
anything
it.
you want to
I
say,
love
Jay,
it.
before we get out of here?
Hey man, I got to say, brother, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's always a great time, an intellectual time, a time
Yes,
that's
sir.
needed when we link up, man. So, I thank you for looking out for the cookout. You know what I mean? I can just send you a little box of sauce and put on your chicken.
King, I appreciate you, brother, man. Salute you both, brothers. It was a pleasure. Ikon, I love meeting you, brother. I'm looking for the next conversation.
You too, brother. Yeah, God bless you. Have a great week.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
Brown skinned girl, and she knew I was out to go and clear my mind. The girl she's